of the application. And I need just a second to get things set up here.
And Mary, I am recording this session, and I'll make sure to forward this to you at the conclusion once it's been processed.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I will make my screen larger. Georgette, would you like to give them some information on how to make their screens larger as well?
In the upper right-hand corner of your viewer, there's an area that says Webcam Zoom Layout. You can use that drop-down menu to zoom in or out to see more or less of the screen that he is presenting. And like I said, if y'all have any questions, I'll be on the chat box throughout the entire presentation, and I'll try and answer things as best I can during the presentation. Otherwise, we'll wait for Bob's question and answer session at the conclusion. We anticipate this training being right at an hour, maybe a little bit longer, but not much past that because it's just a lot to take in.
Okay, if you cannot hear me, that probably is problematic because you won't be able to tell me that you can't hear me. But if someone is close to you and they can hear me and you can't, then please let us know in the chat section of the bridge to please do something about that. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually go through and I'm going to show you the application, but we're going to start probably with a little bit of process. So this procedure, this application follows a specific outline of procedures, and those procedures can be modified by your management and so forth based upon your service requirements. The technician, as far as I know, the outside technician needs to be able to do the following things. He needs to be informed when he's going to receive a work order. He needs to be able to identify where that work order is located. He needs to be able to go to the location, complete the work order, and affect all of the transactions necessary associated with completion of that work order. He also needs to be able to report back any problematic issues that he might have had. And last but not least, he needs to be probably accountable for the inventory that he is transferring into and out of the application, and from specifically the warehouse to the trucks back out to the service location. So getting associated with that, we're just going to have a quick look and see if there are any, actually what we're going to do is I'm going to quickly show you what the customer service representative is going to do. And I think some of you may have seen this yesterday, but basically what happens is a phone call comes in. Oh, I think I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me just be specific about this application. This application will run on basically any device that you might have that connects with the internet. So if you are in the field and you've got a tablet and you're tied to the internet, you can run this website on that tablet and get access to all of the information you need in order to be able to complete work orders or to actually create work orders as well. In addition, if you're running it on your phone, an iPhone, an Android, whatever the case might be, you will be able to run this website on those applications because the website is specifically recursive. It's written in JS Angular, which means that it is device independent. So you will always have access to the information associated with customers, network components, inventory, all of those things will be available to you at any particular time that you may need to actually have a look. I would encourage you, when we get finished here, take your username and your password, go ahead and log in on whatever device that you might have, and look and see and start wandering around in the program a little bit. Okay, so I want to show you basically a little bit of what I showed the customer service representatives yesterday. Basically, somebody calls in and says, hey, I would like to get service on your network. And so what they will do is they will open up customers over here on the left-hand side. I'm going to make the view larger so you can see it. Okay, so they will open up search customers, sales, and prospects on the left-hand side. And then what they will do is they will add a sales contact. So we're just going to go ahead and add a sales contact. This is Rosemary Jones calls in, says, I would like to get service. And so they will go ahead and put in all the necessary information. That includes name, address, city, state, and put in the city and the state, Texas. Zip code 76140, and they will not worry with the longitude and latitude. That will actually automatically populate as soon as it goes through and does the calculations on where that's at. And as you can see, the service itself actually went over here and found the location of that particular location for the customer. And so I'm just going to put in my email address here. Okay, so basically we have phone numbers, cell numbers, and we have work numbers. The program is capable of handling text messaging, so we'll make sure that we go ahead and get the cell phone from the customer. We can also get a work phone if you like, so that we can reach them if they need 829-764-0956. Okay, so basically what we're doing is we're just going through and we're filling in the sales qualification page. And I'll put down a yard sign, and this is a prospective customer, and then we'll save that. So we get the contact information for the customer, it comes up, then the sales qualification agent is able to, or the customer service representative is able to go through and edit the location. Give me just a second, I've got to reload that just real quick. Okay, so I'm going to go down here, I'm going to look for sales contacts. And I'm going to pull up Rosemary Jones, and then I'm going to actually have a look at the location of this particular service location. So I'm going to click on the button over here. This is going to be the customer service representative. They'll click on this button. They will go in and they will put this on hybrid. They will go in and make sure that the location on this particular service is correct. So in this particular case, we're going to drag this down here and put it on that guy's barn, because that's where he wants it. We'll click when it's done, and then we'll go through and we'll use the qualification tool. Again, this is the customer service representative doing this. They'll put in the elevation of the service above ground level, and then what we'll see is that we have this coverage from this access point to that location. So this is the pie-shaped wedge for the 3 dB down point on that antenna. And then the line of sight is between the tower and the customer's location. And in this particular instance, you can see that the tower is on the left. The access to the home or the service location is on the right. The red line is the line of sight between the two Fresnel zone. And then underneath that, we have ground clutter. That includes trees and urban development, those types of things. You can see from this that the distance from the access point, in this case it's .1105, to the house, or in this case the barn, is 1.73 miles. You can see where the miles are listed on the horizontal indicator, and you can see what the relative elevation differences are between the two locations. Again, the red line is the line of sight, the blue line is the first Fresnel zone, then I have ground clutter underneath that, and then ground terrain below that. So it appears as though we can provide service to this customer. So again, the customer service representative is going to click on work order. So they'll come down here, they'll click on work order, and that will open up the work order screen, which looks like this. The customer service representative is going to fill out the contact information, fill out the billing information, fill out the plan information that the customer wants to get, and put a little bit of tech data into the application as well, just showing that this is a wireless application, and the best location coming off of this particular site is VE05 coming off of the Rendon Tower. So coming back here, they will go to the contact site, just make sure everything is correct. It automatically fills that in. They'll go to the billing section, and if the billing address and stuff is different, then they'll put that stuff in separately. If it's the same, they'll hit this little copy contact button right down here at the bottom right. It fills that in. The next thing they'll do is they'll put in the DEMCO. This is the company that's associated with collecting the money. Then they'll go to sales tax, and then the rest of this is by default. They'll automatically get an emailed invoice. The invoice date is the 20th of the month. The charge date's the 1st, and it's going to prorate. They'll go ahead and put in a username and a password for the customer portal. Okay, and so they'll put in a username and a password. They will also take, if the customer is going to pay with a credit card, they will actually go ahead and grab that credit card, or if they're going to pay with an electronic check, they can grab the electronic check information. And then last but not least, in this particular instance, they're just going to be a check cash payer. And so that's everything on the billing tab that needs to be completed. Again, when you're out in the field, you're going to see this exact same service. So you're going to see the contact information. You're going to see the billing information. What you'll see is that there's a credit card that's been put in. You'll see the first four and the last four. That's all you'll have access to. Then you'll also see what plan the customer has selected. So in this case, there's a whole bunch of different kinds here. In this case, the customer selected a residential basic service 1. Okay, and if there are some other things that the customer service representative knows are going to be charged to the customer for this installation, they will go ahead and put those in. If they don't put those in, you're going to need to put them in. So for example, you'll open up this application. You'll see that they're going to get residential basic service 1. You know that there's going to be additional charges, and so we'll come back on that in just a few minutes. So last but not least, the wireless, they're going to pick wireless. Customer service representative is going to pick wireless. She's going to go ahead and give you the best site that she got from the qualification, but you can change this in the field. So this is Rendon Sector 5 IP address, and that's all the customer service representative needs to complete. So she'll go down here and she'll hit save on that. You know, the one thing she will also have to do is she'll have to put in the date and time. So she's going to pick a date and time. She'll go ahead and pick me to do the work. She's going to pick the date for this particular application. Today's date is the 15th. She's going to make this due at, we're going to do this morning at 9 o'clock. And by the way, this is the first thing she should have done, and I'm moving too quickly. I forgot that I should have done this to begin with. And we'll be done by 10:30. And we'll go ahead and add that. What that does is that saves that to the calendar. It also sends this work order. We'll send this work order to you when we get to that point. Let me just see if I've got to put all this back in. I do real quickly. Hang on just a second. That's what happens if you don't put in the technician and the date and time stuff first. So this is a good example of you really need to put in the date and the time before you fill in the rest of the stuff. Okay, and then this is the Plans tab again. This is where you can add those additional plans. So the customer service representative probably already knows that there's going to be a basic installation, so she'll go ahead and put that in. She may also put in something like there's going to be an equipment rental. So there are other things that you might want to put in. You get out there and the customer wants a wireless router, you'll have to pick and add a wireless router. I'll show you how to do that when we actually get to the point where we're going to complete the work order. Again, we're going to pick, we have several different options there. The customer service representative is going to pick wireless option. He's going to show that this is Demco, the site is Rendon, and it's DE05. And then at that point, she's going to save the work order. Okay, so now the work order was saved. This work order will actually now be transmitted to the technician who's going to be doing the work order. And so if I was the work order that received this, this notification, then the morning of, I can actually look and I can see on my Android or my iPhone where my work orders are located. So in this case, this work order is located at this location, and I can see that. So I'm looking at this on my Android or my iPhone. I can also give driving instructions. So this will give me driving instructions from where I'm currently located to the customer's location. Once I get to the customer's location, I can click on this work order. So I just clicked on the work order, and what it will do is it will open that work order for me. So here's the work order on your Android, or let me make it on a tablet so it's a little bit larger. Okay, so here's my work order on the tablet, and so I'm going to get out, I'm going to look, I'm going to figure out what access point I'm really going to get to put this thing on, and then I'm going to look at the work order, and I'm going to say to myself, okay, so what are we currently showing on this work order? This is the person I'm supposed to be talking to. This is the billing information. Everything looks good here. These are the plans that are currently been assigned to this customer, and really my work starts right here with the technical stuff. So I'm going to click on the tech. I'm going to just briefly review the first 3 tabs, but then I'm going to click on the tech tab. So I will look. This is a wireless Rendon. They suggest that I'm coming off the Rendon DE05, and that's probably a good selection, but if I wanted to come off Crowley instead, I could pick the Crowley tower, and I could pick a different sector. Actually, I don't think I have any sectors attached to that. I could come off the Country Vista tower, and I don't have anything assigned to that. So it looks like I'm going to be stuck with the Rendon. The DE06 would be a much better choice, but I'm going to use DE04 instead. So what I'll do is I'll pick the site, the sector, I'll identify the route. The router IP will automatically fill in, and then I know what particular location I'm going to. I can go ahead and pick an IP address out of the IP address block, and then I can also take a piece of equipment out of the inventory and add it to the work order. It just takes a second. So here I've got all this inventory to load. So I'm just going to do a quick add, and I'm going to choose a device. Let's say for a moment that the piece of equipment that's on your truck is not in the inventory system. So if there's nothing in the inventory system, I can do a quick add. So I'll click on the quick add. I'll choose the device. This is going to be an Olive Enterprise up to 100 megahertz CPE, and then I'll put it. I'll just read off the device and figure out what the MAC address is. It's 8877665544. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I've got the MAC address. The MAC address will require that the letters go in as capital, and that the octets, you know, the dual octets are separated by colon. That's important. So I'll just go ahead and add the device to the inventory, and I can just do that by pushing this little button right down here at the bottom. It says that the item was added to the inventory, and so if I'm looking for that device now, I can just scroll down here and I can find the device I'm looking for. There it is right there. Olive Enterprise is up to 100 megabits. Okay, so I just did a quick add. As you can tell, if it's already in the inventory, all you have to do is look for it, right? Find the piece of equipment that's on your truck, take it out of inventory, and again, if it's not there, just do a quick add inventory and you can add it to it. I'm going to go ahead and pick an IP address. Well, maybe I'm not going to pick an IP address. Maybe there's no IP addresses assigned to this block. Let me put this on DE05. I think maybe there's IP blocks assigned to DE05. Yeah. Okay. So this is our demo document, and so all of this stuff is actually filled in for your network. And so I'm just going to go down here. I'm going to pick one. Anything that's in this list is available. It has not already been used. It's also assigned to this particular access point in router combination. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick 10.1.1.20. I've added the piece of equipment, and now, again, I still haven't gotten on the roof. I still haven't done the installation, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this button down here at the bottom of the tech tab. There's the tech tab. We filled in all of the information. I picked the IP address. I picked the access point. I picked the MAC address. And I'm going to hit this pre-provision button down here at the bottom. So what that does is that tells our program to talk to your network, and it will automatically provision this particular piece of equipment to be authenticated on your network. It will also, this particular piece of equipment has the proper bandwidth shaping, so it knows what it's supposed to be looking for. Okay, so it's got the bandwidth shaping, it's authenticated. Now I can climb up on the roof. Now, you don't have to do this in this order. You could have climbed up on the roof and put it in and then done all of this stuff inside the house. But and then you could have done the installation first, run all the cables in, plugged it in, then run the work order, And then once you run the work order, it'll automatically configure, do the do the authentication, and it'll do the bandwidth shaping. Once it's all finished with that, when you turn on the computer, everything is operational. You can do some speed test, performance evaluation if you want, take some numbers, and then, so at some point you're going to hit the pre-provision button, whether before or after the installation, that's up to you. It may be easier to do that after the installation, I don't know, it depends on how you want to work. And then the last thing that you can do is you'll go over here and you'll add any notes that you have. This was a great installation. Good customers. Okay, so last thing I would do is I would go back to the plan section. If there's anything that you need to add that's going to go onto the invoice, you can add that now. So you click this button called Add an Additional Plan. You go down here, they bought a wireless router. And if you have other things that need to go on there, you can continue to add those. We also charge for cable expenses. So anything that was more than like 50 feet, we charge for them. They use 85 feet of cable. So I need a 35 quantity per foot cable expense. And so I'll just add that. I'll go back down here to the notes. If you took some pictures with your phone or your tablet, you can upload those pictures at this point. You can just click on the upload button. It'll upload any of the pictures that you might have taken. If you drove holes in the roof or want to look down range or whatever your management wants you to take in the way of pictures, you can add those. And then, so at this point, we are finished. So I'm going to hit the complete button. So when I hit the complete button, several things are going to happen. First of all, it's going to take me through a complete, it's going to save all the data. The second thing that's going to happen is it's going to take me through basically a checklist of these are the baseline functions associated with this installation. So if you knew what the signal strength was, you want to look it up, you can put what it is. It's meg 57. I ping the internet at 4 milliseconds. Again, this is up to your management as to how much of this data you want to collect. I ping the gateway at 21 milliseconds. I did an up speed test and a downlink test. I got 2.525 megabits per second. And on the downlink test, I got 7.85 megabits per second. The installation type was a rooftop attic installation, or maybe it was a rooftop with a 10-foot pole. We can add more different kind of default installations. This was just a tripod roof mount. So I put a tripod roof mount in there. The installation was new. The equipment was new. And again, if you have any installation notes, you can add those here. Watch out for the dog in the backyard named Peaches. She bites hard. Okay, and then if you have a contract agreement in place, then you can go ahead and open up your tablet or your Android or whatever it is and let the customer read it and sign it. They can sign it with their finger, and then they can save that. So what we did was we just got a signature on a contract agreement from the customer using the electronic device. At this point, I've got the signature, I've got all of the baseline stuff done, and I'm going to go ahead and just finish the installation. Now, we may get an error on this because it's probably going to try to go out and set this up on a network that's actually not working. But that's all right. It says it completed it successfully. So that is the process for completing a new installation work order. Now, let's assume for a moment that instead of a new installation work order, they gave you a sales contact or a site survey. So I'm going to come back to customers. I'm going to search for anybody that's currently just still a prospect. Okay, so notice that this went from prospect to installed. I'm going to grab Lloyd Olive here, and I'm actually going to create, for Lloyd Olive, I'm going to create a site survey. So I'm going to go over to work orders. I'm going to create, and I'm going to create a site survey. So this is something that you may actually see, and I'm going to just put in, this will look forward and it'll pick this particular customer. So I'm going to grab this guy. If there had been a lot of people with the last name Olive, it would have grabbed that guy. Okay, so I'm going to create a sales contact, a site survey, and I'm going to create the site survey. And again, it's the same deal as before. You have to put the date and the technician in first. Unfortunately, if you don't put the date and technician in first, you're going to do just exactly like I did. You're going to forget, and then you're going to have to go through and put all that data in twice. So I'm going to put myself, I'm going to pick a date and a time. In this case, I'm going to make it today, and we'll make this for 1 p.m. And I'm going to complete that at, again, today at 3 p.m. Probably won't take that long. Let's make it 2 p.m. Okay, so, you know, it probably won't even take that long, but we'll put some travel time in there. And I'm going to go ahead and add the event. Okay, so what that will do is that will take me now back to the work order. And the one thing that we have to do as customer service representatives, you have to click on the survey and put that down as pending. Okay, and then I can save it. When you get the notification as a technician, you'll get a notification via an email to your phone. You can actually open up the email, and it will have a link that will take you to this work order. So if you just open up your email, click on the link for the work order, it'll take you to that location, and at that point, you can just, it'll automatically load everything up, and you can just do the site survey. So again, I'm going to go back to the dashboard, and I'm going to just click on the, so I get out there, I do the installation, or I do the site survey, and I can click either here, which I can click on the dashboard and it opens it up, or if I prefer, I can go to work orders and I can search edit for the work orders, and it'll bring up all of the open work orders that are currently outstanding. Here's the site survey for Lloyd Olive, and what I have to do in order to complete the site survey work order is I click on the survey, I put in my notes. Okay, so the signal strength. Let's see, what is it? Well, I'll just put in signal strength. Was neg 47, and you might have some other parameters that you need to keep in here, you know, other parameters. Etc. Okay, and then I'm going to switch from pending to serviceable, and I'm going to complete the work order. So this is a success, and I'm going to finish. Work order completed successfully. Now, let's assume for a moment that the customer service representatives or the technical guys inside the, you know, we get a whole bunch of technical guys inside the building too, right? And so they may need to create work orders for things like network components. So we're going to go over here and we're going to create, actually I'm going to close that up, I'm going to go back to dashboard. So they're sitting here, they got the dashboard open. This is a, I really didn't show you around the dashboard. These right here are all of the outstanding trouble tickets. So this is a trouble ticket drop down, you can see that. Over here on the right-hand side, these are all the open work orders for today, and you can see I've got a couple of them over here. And if you zoom in, you actually see that there is separation difference between those 2 points on the map. Okay, so there's some procedure that we need to talk about, but basically this is the work order information. This is all the open trouble tickets. These are all of the different activities that we have currently scheduled. If we have a problem, say for example we break something on the network, DE05 goes down. We get a lightning strike, the access point is toasted, everything else is okay, but I need to go fix access point DE05. What I will do, and you'll get a notification on that, by the way, whoever is in the technical chain will get a notification that DE05 just went down. They'll get an email They'll get a visual notification on the screen showing that that DE05 went down, and they'll also get a text message that says the DE05 went down. So anytime you have a network change, a network component change, whether it goes up or comes down, you will get notification on those events. So what I'll do is I'll go over here. I'm just going to create, I'm going to probably just go create a work order. So I know DE05 is down. I'm going to make it a, it's going to be a miscellaneous work order, and this is going to be for location Rendon. I'm going to pick Rendon, and I'm going to create this. And then I'm going to identify who's going to go do it. Again, same sort of stuff. I always get assigned everything. If there's a tower climb, I always get the tower climb. I don't know how it worked out that way, but that's just the way it works out. 3 o'clock p.m. I'll be done with that tower climb probably by 5:30. So I'll put in 5:30 p.m. And let's see. So I'll add that event to the calendar. So now you can see I'm over here climbing towers, which is, you know, actually I love to climb towers. That's a great thing to do. In this case, need to replace DE05, which took a lightning, LIGHT, NING, strike at whatever time it is, 11:30 a.m. Okay, so I'll save that. I'll save this. It'll send me the work order. Once I go out there, I can complete the work order. Now, there were some other options that we could have taken here. We could have created a trouble ticket for that particular lightning strike. So in this case, I could have created a network trouble ticket. You can see that I can create trouble tickets for customers' networks. And assets are basically anything that includes where you have an active network component. So for example, an asset could be your truck. An asset could be, because you've got equipment in your truck, right? An asset could be the warehouse. An asset could be, I don't know, if you got multiple warehouses, if you have towers, obviously towers, warehouse. So I can create a trouble ticket for any of those kinds of things. But in this case, I'm going to create a trouble ticket for the network device. And in this case, it was DE05. It took a, this is critical because it's out there in the field, and there's a network router failure. And then I can put in some notes here. Device took a lightning strike. Okay, and then I'm going to create the trouble ticket. Now, the advantage of doing this instead of just creating a work order, especially for a network component, is that now everybody that's affected by DE05, because we know what your network architecture looks like, anybody that's affected by DE05, when we open up their customer service tab, we will know that they are currently being affected by this network outage. So that's why you don't want to just create a work order. You want to create a trouble ticket for that network component. So I'm going to just go ahead and create a work order for this. I don't know if it'll let me, but maybe it will. And I'm going to create a work order for DE05 as a network component. I'm going to pick somebody to go out there and do the work. Again, it's me. I'll make it, in fact, since this is critical, I'm going to let Cameron do it if he's on here. Nope. I'm going to put, yeah, we'll let Cameron do it. And then it needs to be done right away, right? So today's the 15th. The time is going to be right now. So 11 a.m. It's probably going to take him an hour to climb the tower, get all the work done. And so I'll put that down, finishing by 1 p.m. Okay, so I'll go ahead and add that event. And then I want to go show you what the customer will see on their particular location. So this was put in here by me. I'm demo billing. And then this is the guy that's going to do the work. This is the date, the time, and I can put in some information. Please take a Cambian model AP and replace as soon as possible. A critical issue. So if he's out in the field, he's going to get an email that says, I need you to go do this. So he'll see that pop up on his email. He can click on this. He can open it up and says, oh, goodness, I need to go out there and I need to take care of this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go back to dashboard. And as you notice, there's the miscellaneous work order that I created. This is also goes in as a miscellaneous work order, but you can see that the time difference is and so forth. When he gets out in the field, or when he gets this on his email, he can actually click this, open it up, and he can complete the work order. So you might also notice on the dashboard, this has now become a critical network outage. Network VEO5 is down. So I'm going to do something here. I'm going to go find all the customers that are currently affected by this outage. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go to customers. I'm going to search for customers, and I'm going to pick the access point, VEO5, and find all of the customers that are currently attached to that. We only have 2 customers attached to VEO5. If I click on Rosemary Jones, and hopefully this is working, yes, you can see up here in the top right that she is currently affected by this known related outage. I need to take a note here. Hang on just a second. So the reason I took a note is because this actually is supposed to be read, and there's supposed to be some words in here, but we're doing this on our demo application. And so for whatever reason, it's picked up something bizarre, probably some strange character in our database, and it doesn't like it. So this would actually come up and say ticket ID, and it would show the number. In this case, I think it was number 17. It would show who it's assigned to. So when the customer calls in and says, hey, I can't get online, what you can do is there's a little button over here, what it's supposed to be, a little button over here that you can push, and it says, add this customer to this trouble ticket. So when the technician goes out, completes the work order for that network component, that will actually close the work order. It will also close the trouble ticket, and everybody that's affected by that trouble ticket will be notified that the service should be back to operational. Now, one of the things that we want to do is anybody that's assigned with VEO5, let's say I'm driving down the road, I'm on vacation, it's even worse. I'm the guy who's responsible for notifying customers when there's an outage. Okay, so I get a text alert to my iPhone, so I open up this application and I see that we have VEO5 currently not responding. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here, I'm going to actually search for these customers that are on VEO5, and I'm going to send them an email. And what it'll do is it'll automatically populate the email address. I can put in here a network outage, important notice. Hyphen network outage, internet outage, report. Okay, and then I'm down here, I'm not going to use the template variables, I'm going to just simply say, as you may have noticed, we are currently experiencing a network outage that may be affecting you. Again, you're doing this from the front seat of your car, and you're probably in Hawaii, right? That's where everybody goes on vacation. And so we anticipate return to service, SERVICE, within the next 3 hours. Okay, and so instead of saying that, we can say, due to the lightning storm that we are experiencing, we anticipate return to service within the next 3 hours. Okay, and then please do not call the office. When the service has been returned, to normal. You will be notified. Okay, so now what I can do is I can just, I'll just go ahead and copy that here, command copy. I can hit the send button, and what that will do is that will send that to everybody that's affected by this. And then if I also want to send them a text message, I can just do the same thing. What that'll do is that'll automatically fill it up with their phone numbers. And in this case, you're limited to 160 characters. And in both cases, all you have to do now is hit the send button, and this text notification goes out at the rate of 600 emails per 10 minutes. So what is that, 60 a minute, one a second? That way, what that will do is that will prevent your customer service lines from lighting up as a consequence of this DEO5 access point outage issue. It'll also give your customers immediate notification that you're experiencing a problem. And what we've discovered in the past is that typically our customers don't care that you're out of service. What they do concern themselves with is it my stuff that's broken, or are you guys broken? And does anybody even know that we're broken? And so giving them that kind of information and a very fast, rapid access, access to that kind of information is very useful for keeping your phones from ringing. Okay, so I want to go through here and I want to show you a couple more things. One of the things that I want to show you is how to add inventory to your inventory system. So somebody over there in the technical department has to worry about network devices and inventory. So the first thing you do, and the inventory comes basically in 4 stages. If you're buying something, you need to make sure that you're buying it from a vendor that we've got listed. Okay, and if we don't have a vendor that you're buying something from, then you need to add the vendor. You click on that button down there, and you can put in, new vendor. This is all pretty simple stuff, right? You put in the contact name, the phone number, the email. If you're going to ever have to send something back to this customer or this vendor, put in an RMA email address and shipping address. Go ahead and get all the information from your vendors when you're adding them. So I'm going to cancel that. So the first thing you do is you add a vendor. So, for example, here's Olive Enterprises. Here's all the stuff for Olive Enterprises. If I want to change the address, I can change the address, and I can hit the Save button, and so I can update and keep that information current. The second thing you need to do is you need to put in UPC. So if this is new equipment and you've never used it before, then you need to put in a UPC code in the description. That's how we maintain inventory, right? We know what kind of equipment we've got on our shelves and how many pieces we have and where they're located. Are they in the warehouse? Are they on the truck? Are they on somebody's house? Are they on a tower? We know where they are. We know what they cost. We know who we bought it from. If we have to replace it, we can do a quick RMA, ship it back to the customer or back to the vendor and get it replaced. So what I did was I searched for the UPCs, and as you can see, I got a whole bunch of different kinds of UPCs here. Let me see if I've got one. Let me see if I've got a Cloud Core router in here. So if I'm looking for a Cloud Core router, okay, so I've got a couple Cloud Core routers in here. Here's a Microtik Cloud Core router. I'll just click on that, and I can look and see what it is. So this is the UPC code. This is the description of that Cloud Core router from Microtik. This is the notification level. The notification level tells me, it informs me when I have this many or fewer of these components in the warehouse. Okay, so when I reach unassigned inventory at this level, it will notify me. This is a network component. Now notice, there are other kinds of components that you can put in here. You can put in CPEs. You can put in antennas. You can put in some sort of electronics equipment, hardware, J-mounts, power supplies, probably go under electronics. If you have, 35 sections of Roam 25 out in the stockyard, you can identify where those are and what they are. A machinery, if you have some sort of lathe, or you've got some sort of planers or something that you use to build boxes with. You can keep track of that. In addition, you can keep track of tools. So if the company is issuing a toolbox, you can keep track of the toolbox. So in any instance, this is just the UPC code. Down here, this is my vendor part number for that same manufacturer's UPC code. So this is the manufacturer's UPC code. This down here is the vendor's UPC code. I can add multiple part numbers from the vendor just by clicking on that, pick the vendor, add the part number, and then just save that. And so what that'll do is that'll just add the different kinds of part numbers you have for the different kind of vendors. And you can see that's really pretty tough stuff in order to figure out how to do that. Okay, so what we did, again, I told you this is a 4-part process. We added the vendor, we added the UPC, now we add the inventory. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to add a piece of inventory. I know that I've got some Cloud Core routers. This is a look-ahead type process. And honestly, I don't know why we've got a look-ahead in here, but what this is basically is you just start typing, you just start typing the piece of equipment that you're looking for, and then, okay, so this is the Cloud Core router that I'm looking for right there. I just got this on the shipping dock. I'm going to go ahead and pick that Cloud Core router. The vendor was vendor B. If the vendor has a part number ascribed to it, it will show up here. If it doesn't, then it won't show up here. I'm going to go ahead. If I've got a serial number, I can barcode scan that serial number in here. If I don't, I can just put the serial number in by hand. Okay, and then if I've got a MAC address for this device, which in this case I certainly would, I can put in the MAC address. Again, I can barcode scan that in if you've got a barcode scanner. And if I'm doing like 5 of these, then you really want a barcode scanner if you can. 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 8, DA. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once again, the letters have to go in as capitals because it won't take a lowercase, and you have to separate the octets with the colon. If you got a stock code for this, then go ahead and put in the stock code for it. I'm going to go ahead and put in 2 of these devices because I bought 2 of them. And if I had 24 of them, I could put in 24. I just don't want to have to spend that much time. So where am I going to put this? I'm going to put this, I've got several options. First of all, it has to go into stock someplace. You can't put it on an assigned tower yet. So I'm going to assign it. I can assign it to the warehouse. I can put it on a truck. I can put it at a location like a tower. Say, for example, I've got a tower. I just want to put it in the inventory at the tower. I can put it in there. But okay, so this is your warehouse. These are your trucks. This is if the thing came in broken, right? If the thing came in broken, I'm going to put it into stock repair. And then if the thing actually is going to go out onto an asset, and again, assets are anywhere I've got an active component. So that would be a truck. That could be a tower, anything. But I'm going to just put it in the warehouse for now. And then I'm going to pick the location. It takes a second, by the way, it takes a second for that to reach forward. I'm going to put it in the warehouse. The status of this device, if it came in broken, put it out of service. If you're already sending it back, put it to RMA. But in this case, the device came in good. We own this particular piece of equipment. The purchase price on this, and by the way, we have a purchase order section coming at some point, and that purchase order section will, in fact, let you put in the purchase order that this came off of, but the purchase price was $2,237.49. The purchase date on this was, pick a date. We bought this on the 1st. It just arrived. And if you've got any notes, a device arrived in good condition. And then all I have to do is just double check, make sure I've got everything. I'm going to copy this MAC address and then just modify it slightly. And then I'm going to hit save. So what it's going to do is it's going to save that device, and then it's going to ask me to put in the second device. Okay, so now it's asking for quantity 2, second device. Here's the MAC address. I'm just going to make it EB. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and put the serial number in on this guy. Okay, and then I'll just hit save again. So I just added 2 Cloud Core routers to the inventory. So the last thing I have to do is I have to go put that, if I'm going to go put it someplace, I need to now go put it someplace. So okay, so that's the 3 things that go into inventory. Last but not least, I can search for that device, just make sure it's here. I'm just going to search for everything. I know that this is a Cloud Core router. I can just type CCR, and I can see there's the device that I just put in. There's somewhere. Didn't I just put a device in there under a Cloud Core router? Oh, well, maybe it's not done searching. It's not. Okay, so give me a second. For some reason, it's not done searching yet. All right. As soon as it finishes searching, I don't know why it's decided to go out and take a nap. Maybe because we're coming to the end of this training session. Maybe it's just trying to, I don't know what it's doing, but I wish it would stop. I'm going to just reload this. Maybe I did something wrong. I don't know. If you run into that problem, it takes about 10 seconds to reload the application. Go ahead and reload it. I'm going to go back to inventory. I'm going to go back to search, and I'm going to search that inventory this time, see if I can do it without breaking the bank here. These guys must be messing with that. I got to take a quick note and find out why that's doing that. Okay, so at some point, it's going to actually come up and decide that it's finished searching for this inventory. It looks to me like it's already finished searching for this inventory, but it's not giving me the handshake to complete it. So this is all the inventory that we currently have in here, and again, it's still searching for it. I don't know why it is, but whatever the case might be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reload this one more time, and I'm going to get our lead software guy to explain to me why that was still searching. But what I want to do now is I want to add this particular piece of equipment to the tower. Okay, so I've got several different options. One, I can do this off of a work order. So when I get out here, I can create a work order, I can do the work order, I can make the change, and I can add it to, I can take a piece of equipment off and I can put a piece of equipment on. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to go to network, I'm going to manage the network, and I'm going to add a device. Now before I do that, I want to look at all the devices that we have. So I have, these are all the devices in my network. So here they all are. So if I'm just looking for a router, you guys have tons of stuff. So if I'm looking for a specific piece, these are all the routers. If I'm looking for an access point to see what's in the field, I can see that. Here's DE05. I can click on DE05 and it opens up. And if we're keeping monitoring graphs, which I haven't shown you how to put in yet, but if you're keeping a bunch of monitoring data, you'll be able to reach that. You can see all of the information on this access point. For example, this is on DE05. It's located on the Rendon Tower. It has this IP management address. These are the usernames and passwords to get into it. It's got an integrated antenna. It's got a 105-degree bandwidth, beam width. Its elevation is 100 feet in the air. The direction that it's pointed is 225 degrees. It's got a radius of 5 miles. It's got 0 down tilt. This is the frequency. This is the channel width. This is the SSID color on this device, and I've got an up and down ratio of 50-50. If I had some pictures, I could actually click on the picture section down here and have a look and see what it looks like, but I don't have any pictures in here right now. So if I want to add a device, I'm going to go add a device. I'm going to add a an alternate Rendon. Actually, I'm going to make it a backup Rendon. Actually, it's better than that. I'm going to make it a failover Rendon router. Okay, so I'm going to call it the failover Rendon router. So that way, if I ever lose a router again out there on that tower, it'll actually automatically fail over. It turns out it wasn't DE05 that was broken. It was actually that particular tower and the router actually lost support because of an electrical surge. The location is going to be on Rendon. The device type is a router, and I'm going to choose a device. And because there's so much of it here, I've got to go see if I can find it now. I can't remember what I started that with. I'd be interested to see if it actually, they're the cloud core routers that I put in. So the cloud core routers actually did make it into the inventory. They're right down here at the bottom. You can see one of them is AE, the other one is EB. This was the Microtech cloud core router. So I'll go ahead and collect that router. If I don't see it there, I can actually click on Quick Add Inventory. I can pick the device. I can put in the MAC address, and then I can add it. So if I'm in the field, let's say I'm in the field, and nobody put this device in place. I had to drive over. I borrowed a piece of equipment from another vendor, or I went out and I've got another Wisp that I'm competing with, but they were willing to loan me this router. I drive over there. I pick it up. I bring it back. I climb the tower. I get up there. I get ready to put the Microtech router in. I realize I don't have it in inventory. I can just do a quick add inventory. I can do a look-ahead type on the cloud core router. I can put in the MAC address, and then I'm good at that point. This has an upstream device. This has the Rendon router. Nope, it has the Rendon core router as its upstream device. I've got a management IP on that. I'll come back to that in a minute. It takes a minute for that to actually it gives me an option to assign it later, which I will do. Username and password to get into this is admin, and well, it would be a lot more than that, but password. Okay, and I'm going to, the number of ports on this device is 12. I can configure those ports later, and I'm just going to save this. So this is the failover Rendon router, and what it's going to do is it says device saved successfully, and now it's going to ask me for a bunch more information. So I've got to give it a second. It's going to tenure a little bit here, and now I can add some IP ranges. I'm going to add an IP range to this device. Okay, so the IP range on this is 10.10.25.0, and it's a /24. And these are the IP ranges that I am assigning to customers. Okay, so this is the customer assignment block coming off of this router, and I'm going to save that. Actually, I think I should save. Yeah, I did. Okay, so it'll show that up here in a second. I'm actually going to. Oh, that's nice. It's telling me that space already exists on a different router, so I'm going to pick it up. Okay, so so it gave me an error. It said that this block is already assigned to the core router on Rendon. So that's not a problem, because I will not issue these IP addresses out of this device until I actually get into a failover condition. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a 10.10.25.254 IP address, and I'll save that. And if I want to configure the ports, I want to show what all the port assignments are, I can do that here. So for example, this has got a CPE attached to it. I can actually identify the CPE that it's got. If I've got an upstream provider attached to it, I can identify the upstream provider. But in this case, I can do that for every port that's on here. So it's got 11 ports. So it's 12 ports, so it's 0 through 11. I'm going to cancel that because I don't want to mess with that right now. And then if I have some notes, this is on loan from Deep South Wireless Internet. And I'll save it. And what I just did was I added that to the network components. So what does that mean? Well, that means that if I'm now assigning access points to this, the APs will actually draw the IP addresses directly from this router block. And so when you get into the field, you pick your access point, it will know what IP range you're allowed to use on your work order. Okay, so it'll know what IPs have been used, and it'll show you IP address blocks that are available for utilization. So we just added that component. There's a bunch of other stuff that we need to do. We probably need to answer at this point. And so I haven't been paying any attention to this device down here. Okay, so I've got a bunch of questions here. Tyrone is, okay. So Mary says that all those fields, let's open this up. Georgette, you want to take control of the questions here for a minute?
Well, I think that Mary has answered Tyrone's question regarding the templates and what they're going to use to contact their customers with, so I don't think that's anything that needs to be addressed, and I forwarded a couple of questions from Mary on to Cameron. So I think we're in good shape with the questions, and we are at the top of the hour, so why don't we go ahead and open up the lines if anybody has a specific question that they want Bob to answer. Now would be a great time.
I think they're all asleep.
Information.
That's okay. It's a management problem as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I'm trying to put out this fire in my brain here.
All right. So here's what's going to happen, guys. And Georgette's going to be all over the top of me, and Mary probably will too. And so with Mary's approval, I am going to give you my cell phone number. And for 2 weeks, if you run into a problem, you can call me.
I give you
I don't care.
approval. You have added to call Bob. You can call him all you want.
Okay, so you don't mind them calling me?
I don't. That's up to you. I mean, that's fine because you're going to know the answers. What they're going to have to do is normally go through me and then I call you. But if it's a direct shot, if they're working on something, they need help, and you don't mind them calling you, I have absolutely no problem with that.
Okay. This is what we're going to do, guys and gals, is if you have a problem and you just can't get it resolved, okay, you've dedicated 10 minutes to this, you can't figure it out, you can't get the quick add function to work on the work order, you can't get the work order to come up, you can't get, I mean, it's not connecting properly, you can't get internet service on, we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to, you can call me, and then what I will do is I will conference call Mary if she wants us to, or if I can't resolve it. Okay, so but in every instance, anytime you call me, I'm going to give Mary a report on what the call was about, what the issue was, so that we keep your management informed. It's really important. I both come out of the same background, and the one thing that we don't want to do is ever go around our immediate supervisor. That's a really bad choice. So if you have a problem, talk to Mary. If Mary needs to, she can call me as well. Or if you can't get a hold of Mary, call me directly. This is my phone number. This is good for 2 weeks. I don't want to get any calls, late in November. Something, if you've got a problem in November, give me a call. I'd be glad to talk to you about it. Okay, and I'm glad to help. And sometimes, it's 5:30 in the afternoon.